Good afternoon, boys and girls from the internet. Today we are going to talk about a really important subject in my life, which is music. And we will be talking about music history, we will be talking about different instruments, we will be talking about notes, different definitions. It will be really interesting. Stay here because this will be really cool. So if you can see, I am looking constantly down because I have some notes, kind of words that will help me throughout this emission. Because as you know, this is the first emission of this podcast. So I hope you can understand this situation. And well, now we are going to start. We will be talking about several things. The things that I think are important when starting in music. This is a subject that I really love and I am really passionate about. So I think I have some knowledge about it. So, first of all, what is music? Music is the art of organizing sensibly and logically a combination of sounds. What does it mean? It means that music it's combining different sounds in order to make them sound beautiful or good for us. It is really good to listen to music, but I think we are not doing it right. I think we are listening to music constantly, but just doing it like kind of a background instead of analyzing music in the ways that we should do it. Well, music is composed of different elements. Between them, we can find rhythm. But what is rhythm? Maybe we have like the empiric knowledge of what is rhythm, but we don't really know what is rhythm. So then, rhythm is the repeated pattern of sounds or chords or whatever is making our music. Uh, Rhythm is, for example, I have my guitar here, so you can listen to me. I'm sorry. That's a rhythm. And melody. What is a melody? Melody is the sequence of notes. In music, we have the notes which are do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, and we can find those notes, but there are also chords. What is a chord? A chord is when you play three notes at the same time. For example, this is a chord, and this is a note. Can you hear the difference? Well, today we will be talking about both of them. So then, a melody is like this. It's a combination of notes that sound very good. Harmony. Harmony is the combination of simultaneously chords or notes or structures in order to make a song or a piece of art. Between these, harmony is the most important part in a song because harmony is like when you put all together. So, nuances. A non, or in Spanish, matiz, is the like the things that you make to make something sound the way you want it to sound. For example, you can make something sound softly, you can make something sound brightly. There are different adjectives that we can use in order to describe the nuances that we want to use. So then, volume. I don't think I really need to explain what is volume because we use it every day. For example, when we get a call and we need to adjust like the volume of our cell phone, and that's uh, the volume. Right now I'm going to explain like to you. I hope you're understanding everything I'm saying and I'm not talking very fast. I hope you're doing really great, like while listening to me, like going to work or something like that. So right now we are going to talk about the origin of notes, because we know notes are like how we define the different sounds in our nature, our environment, and in the different things that we hear. Everything it's made out of notes, even though they are not really exact. In total, we can believe there are seven notes, but there are not. In total, they are 12 notes. And this is because, well, we know the seven of them, no? In Spanish, they are do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. And in English, they are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But between each of them, there's a middle note. And we will be looking at that in the next episode. So then listen to us in the next episode, please. Um, so now we are going to talk about something that it's really interesting for me. Um, and this is like a kind of history in music. Right now, I think this is the origin of the modern music as we know it nowadays. So then, this is the story of a person called Pablo, who was a diacono. So he used to make music for God, and he was composing this kind of song for a saint, which is called Saint Juan Bautista, and this is a kind of chorus for them to sing it to him, and it was called queant Laxis. It was wrote in the 8th century, so then imagine it was uh, a, a lot of hundreds of years ago. So it was a really interesting composing because nowadays all the music that we know nowadays it is thanks to this song. Imagine, he was a really important person. So then, Pablo el Diácono. He wrote this song, which was called Utkan Laxis. And years later, a couple of 100 years later, there was this other person who is called Guido de Arezzo. I don't know really how to pronounce it, but it's called Guido de Are and double C. So then I hope it was an Italian person. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. Guido de Arezzo. He he was able to see that between these different verses in the original song, there was a relation, and there was one note between the beginning of each verse. So then he was able to see this causality, and he said, "Well, I'm going to investigate about it. This is pretty interesting." So then he got a serious injury in his throat. He had a serious illness, and he wasn't able to sing. He used to sing, so he prayed to God, and he told him that if he could help him with his illness. Imagine this. I don't believe in miracles, but this happened. So then he prayed God if he could help him with his illness. And years later, he got better, and he told God, "Okay, if you help me with my illness, I'm going to make something good for music, and I'm going to help music history." So then he found this in music, and he realized that there was one note between the beginning of each verse, um, and this is the relationship that he found. Ut, from the title, Ut can laxis, re, resonaire floris, mi, mira gestorum, fa, famuli porum, sol, solve polluti, la, labi raetum, si, sancte lones. Imagine, I don't know how to pronounce Latin, but this is interesting because thanks to this kind of song, he was able to give name to the notes that we know nowadays. So then, if you see the poem, if you download the poem from internet, you can do it. You can realize that the beginning of each verse are the notes that we know nowadays. So then, imagine these two people made the world of music that we know nowadays. So then they had ut, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. And years later, Giovanni Battista Doni, who was another person who also got interested in this, decided to change ut, that was from ut can laxis, to do. That is the principal note that we know nowadays. So then he made this change, and we got the seven notes that we know nowadays. Well, this is really interesting for me, you know. Um, and now I'm going to talk about the different things in music history that happened before this. In 3000 before Christ, before this happened, and before the music was started to be used in the church. Well, Sumeria, I'm sorry, started to use harp and lyra. I don't know how to say it in English. I'm sorry, lyre. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sick. Um, Started to use these two instruments. So then I'm going to talk about also Mesopotamic and ancient Egypt. And musicians there were had a lot of prestige. And in Mesopotamia, harp is really valuable. Like it's their principal instrument. It used to be. In ancient Greece, they got a lot of influence from the ancient Egypt, and they started to incorporate the epic poems. For example, we know nowadays, I think Greek literature is one of the most known in the whole world. So they combined like the music and their literature, and they started to form this kind of poems, but sing poems or poems with music. And that was a really big advance because later it got really famous. So then Rome was invaded for Greece, and they didn't do like a big thing for music, but they implemented to sing in Latin and to compose in Latin and those kind of things. So then we will be analyzing more music history in the next episode. But I don't know, guys. For me, it is really interesting to start to know about all these kind of things and imagine the music that we know nowadays and the basic unit of music in the whole. I mean, uh, the what we know about music, it's based in the Christianism. Imagine it is based in one song that was composed by a Christian person. So then, music in Sumeria or in the prehistory was divided in four branches. Autophones, which were like this kind of percussion but not percussion things. For example, it is when when the people in those times took a bone and they the bone with another surface or something like that. And the membranophones, which were like kind of drums, there were percussion things. The chordophones, which were made out of chords, like the guitar, um, and the aerophones, which were made out of. No, I'm sorry. The aerophones were made out of. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Aerophones were made out of. For example, aerophones were like the flauta, the flout. I think it's saying like that. I'm not pretty sure, but I hope so. And uh, those were the four branches of music in the beginning, and they start to get developed until what we know nowadays. That I'm not a big fan of contemporary music. I'm more like from the last century. For example, I love the Beatles. I love Queen. Um, I like all of these bands that started to make music then. So then, I hope you like this kind of podcast. I hope it wasn't boring because I feel like I talk really fast. I'm sorry for that. And I hope you guys enjoy the next one if you want to hear it. Um, and well, that's all. And I hope you liked this podcast. And I hope you learned something new because when I started to investigate these kind of things, for example, the one of queant Laxis, it was amazing for me. So then, guys, see you next time. I hope you really liked this podcast and see you soon.